And welcome to this Tuesday edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForrest. Very happy to have you guys with us. Hope you guys have kind of cleared things up and recovered. We've been talking about the aftermath of the football season and transitioning into other things. There are many things that you can be paying attention to right now when it comes to degenerate gambling activity. Not the least of which, and I think we've been emphasizing this theme all throughout the year, but in the great words of from the song, of Kenny Rogers, the late great Kenny Rogers, who I don't know if his chicken was any good, the roasters, because they went out of business. So maybe that's a testament to the fact that it wasn't all that. But nonetheless, from the song The Gambler, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And that might be applicable. We've been touting Rick Pitino. We always love to tell you that don't sleep on Rick Pitino. When he came back from Greece and had the Iona team, you thought, all right, they'll probably make some noise. He was getting guys from all over the country. He had one guy from Guam, one guy from Latvia, somebody from Czechoslovakia. I don't think he had a single kid from the United States. And Iona, I would come to find out, the people from the area there, I was wearing an Iona shirt that I had received a couple of years ago when Pitino first took the job. And I didn't realize that Iona, I-O-N-A, to the people from the area stands for Idiots on North Avenue. But Pitino exits that job, gets what appears to be just a dream situation for him, being a New York guy at St. John's, a program that has been looking to be resurrected, going all the way back to like Ron Artest and Bootsy Thornton. And they've had their moments in the spotlight. Legendary coach. We always talk about the signs from the gods of gambling. So if you're looking for a bright star somewhere in a Cinderella season for the St. John's Red Storm, it would be that they're having this kind of year under Rick Pitino in the same season where their fabled coach and a beloved figure all around basketball, and especially in the New York area, Lou Carnesecca, checked out. So there are some signs there that make you think that maybe at 30-1 to win the NCAA tournament, which were the odds were posted for St. John's yesterday, maybe they're worth a shot. But I believe that, and as much as we like to tout the idea that Pitino is good enough to get almost anything done, that you should never underestimate him. I'm starting to think that the 30-1, I was on a radio show with a friend of mine yesterday, and he says, hey, did you jump on this? Pitino's your man. And I said to him, 30-1, are they a team that's going to win the national championship this year? And that's a little bit hard to envision. That might be a bit of a premature evaluation, but we shall see. And they're sitting there at 30-1, and certainly with the kind of promise in a wide open season for college basketball that I would probably imagine that they win a couple of rounds in the NCAA tournament. But to see them going all the way and winning the championship does seem like a little bit of a stretch. So if you want to take a shot at them at 30-1, we're not going to call you crazy, but I'm thinking I might want to book that action myself. And as much as it hurts me to say that, being a giant Rick Pitino fan, a guy that we got to know over the years, spent a lot of time where we are here in South Florida, and we got to know him through horse racing and many other adventures. And a real good guy. I know some people were down on him. They thought it was kind of crazy what was going on there, that he literally was running a strip club out of the athletic dorm when he was at Louisville. There was that incident in the Italian restaurant, which does that not give him street cred with virtually every guy? I know it's not necessarily the most flattering thing that you could be involved in, where you're banging some woman, and it turns out, much like Lisa Meanwell, chasing Brian Cashman from the soccer fields all the way to his bank account, that the only reason any of this came to light, that he was banging this woman on a table in a small Italian restaurant in Louisville, was because she was absolutely out of her mind. And then with one of his assistant coaches later on, she's in a relationship, and they try to extort this money from Rick, who was known as a very loyal family guy. And unfortunately, that turned out to be more myth than it was fact. Bet online, if you're betting these games, and we're going to get into it with Scotty M. Scotty M is one of our favorites when it comes to college basketball handicapping. We'll see what he thinks about this. Bet online is the world's most trusted betting platform, and this is a great place to make your wagers. We've been touting them for a while here on the show. Your number one source for online betting in 2025, whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. Never mind that stiff that's going to make you pick up the tab at the bar. Just sit there with your Bet Online app open, and you can make all the wagers that you want. They have the largest selection of odds on everything from the NBA, college basketball, the NHL, UFC. They mentioned the big boxing card where we're going to give you a winner there with the fight that took place in Saudi Arabia over the weekend. BetOnline continues to be your number one betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with the odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, far and away, I mean, we have a lot of really good people on the Bury Your Bookie show. I'm very happy about the lineup. And who knows where it goes from here. But far and away, not only the best hair, but the most handsome guy that we ever deal with here. And he just has the look of a guy. Guy told me this a long time ago when I was vending souvenirs at Shea Stadium. And I'm about to go out of the room there with like one pennant and a blow up doll and go back out into the crowd and try and hawk this stuff. And the guy, his name was Bob O'Neill. I'll never forget this. He looks at me and he says, "Look prosperous." And he sets up another 50 yearbooks in my little basket that I was carrying around and all kinds of stuff. Make it look like you're not on your last leg. And certainly, if you're going to be in a betting game, it doesn't hurt to look prosperous. And that's why we love having Scotty on the show. Scotty, how are you, my friend? You're looking good today.
I appreciate it, Defo. I got up nice and early this morning. I got ready to get on the show and try to help the audience with some winners. There's a lot of stuff going on right now in the sports world. So, we're digging deep. This time of the year, it's probably one of the craziest times of the year throughout the whole calendar year of sports right now.
Now, I'm looking at one thing that I completely would have overlooked at the beginning of the season. This team was horrible last year, and I would be willing maybe to take a shot. I don't know what kind of prop odds you can get on J.B. Bickerstaff, coach of the Detroit Pistons, being named coach of the year. How is this guy not being talked about in those parameters? Now, usually you have to make it to the NBA Finals or be prominent. The Pistons, I don't know if you're familiar with their over under number for the season. I didn't get a chance to really look that up before we get started here today, but it had to be relatively tepid. They were
Yeah.
14 and 68 last year, and now they're sitting there just a game out of being the fourth seed. They're in the sixth spot in the Eastern Conference with a 32 and 26 record. And this was a team that just a year ago, under Monty Williams, who received a $70 million contract for 7 years, had lost 28 straight games. They went 0 for November. And Cade Cunningham, even though he was a number one overall pick, it came in a year where there really wasn't any standout talent that year. So you thought, well, geez, here are the poor, suffering Pistons. They haven't been good since Joe Dumars was there, and they and Isaiah, and they're stuck in a year. They get the number one overall pick. They had a lot of Elgin Baylor type of luck in the draft lottery, where they're sitting there stunned that they ended up with the fifth or sixth pick, like they did last year, coming off. And yet, Cade Cunningham turned into a star. He's a legitimate guy to carry a team. He's been impressive almost every night throughout the season. And
Yeah.
at 32 and 26, I mean, how are they not talking about J.B. Bickerstaff as coach of the year? And they must have already eclipsed their season total, no? I mean, did anybody anticipate this?
No, they're playing fantastic right now. They've won 6 straight games in a row. I've actually had them the other night on a Sunday against Atlanta. Came back on a back-to-back. Was actually a dog for a while most of the day. Then went to a small favorite at night. But yeah, their nucleus right now is playing perfect. 6 straight wins in a row. Consistent basketball, pouring a lot of points in, which is outstanding. When a team can fire away and they're hitting a high percentage of their shots, they're just coming together at the right time. They're playing really well, obviously, right now, 6 straight wins in a row. And they're going to cause fits for some teams, especially in their building. Actually, they play pretty well on the road, even. They can put up a lot of points. So when you have a team like this, a young team that's spirited, and they're putting up a lot of points, they could go into any building on any night and cause fits. They
You
are
talk
playing
about peeling
excellent.
yourself off the mat, Scotty. You don't see these kind of dramatic turnarounds unless there's some startling development, like somehow they ended up drafting Wembenyama. But I didn't see any of that with the Pistons. Is this one that throughout most of the season has just stunned the degenerate gamblers out there, or have there been people that that have been on this from the start?
Well, I'll tell you, it's one of two things. Either you got on them early, hoping for the turnaround, and you've been making some money because they've been a live dog in most cases. They're not really a favorite too often. I mean, they have been recently, but this is the type of team. If you play your cards right, that's how you can make some good money. By playing your cards right for certain teams, jumping on their bandwagon and riding with them. And this team right now is red hot. They're getting the job done. They're playing really well as a unit, even on a back to back. They came back, they were down. They fought, and they came back and pulled away on that game last night. So this is a team you got to watch, no doubt about it. This Kate Cunningham, he's the real deal. I mean, he was one of the highest picks in the draft.
Number one overall.
So I think he was number one
Yeah,
overall, right?
overall number one.
Yeah. So the bottom line is he's coming into form beautifully after a couple of years, and this team's playing really well right now. These are the type of teams you got to be careful, and you can look for prices on them, and that's what I zone in on. Like I said, I'm not chasing all 30 teams in the NBA because I think that's a disaster. But if you look for certain teams and you ride with those teams, those are the teams that can build your profit margins and get you moving in the right direction. This Detroit team is a team to watch right now. Now they could cool off. Obviously they're not going to keep winning, but right now they're locked in. They're playing really well. Road, home, watch them, guys. If you get good numbers on them, you might want to take those points.
Yeah, and we know the bookies usually catch up, and the odds makers, line
Yeah,
makers
it changes.
catch up with these kind of things. But that had to have a lot of people buffaloed because coming off of 14-68, which I think either was the worst or second worst record in Detroit Pistons franchise history.
Yeah.
That's a remarkable turnaround. And did anybody ever make? My dream used to be, Scotty. I don't know if I ever passed this along to you the many years I've known you. But I had a dream situation, which was to sign like a big fat 5-year contract with some radio station and then get fired on the very first day as the money was guaranteed. Nobody made out better than Monty Williams, the former coach of the Phoenix Suns, who goes to the Pistons. I think it was 7 years, $70 million. He's there for 1 year. They go 14-68 under his guidance. They get rid of him, and the next year they blossom and turn into a playoff contending team, even emerging ahead of teams that you would have had much higher regard for, like the Miami Heat, for example, who had another disastrous ball game last night in the post Jimmy Butler era, if you can call it that.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, just a remarkable story all the way around. But I would have loved to have been Williams. I mean, wouldn't that be great to collect dead money? For it's almost like a Bobby Bonilla type of contract this guy signed, where he doesn't have to do anything and he's going to pick up $70 million guaranteed.
I don't think anyone got the contract like Bobby Bonilla did. I think he's still getting paid, isn't he? At
Still
this
getting
point?
paid a few more years, I believe.
It's unbelievable. What a contract that was. I guess you take it all on the back end over the years versus on the front end. And yeah, he's been out of baseball like 20 years already, and
Yes.
he's still getting a payday. Yeah, but as far as the coach, he was coach of the year for Phoenix. Don't forget he was coming in with a lot of momentum. Did an unbelievable job with Phoenix. And then he got thrown into the wood, the real wood pile going to Detroit. So he didn't have the talent, obviously, around him to really coach at that time. They were probably going through the transition of that team, trying to figure themselves out. So he didn't last too long. They didn't give him, they gave him the hook pretty quickly. But the coach right now is doing a fantastic job with these players and keeping them on the straight and narrow. And that's what you like to see. You like to see that good turnaround in sports. A team goes from last, and starts playing really well and competitive now. And Detroit needs it. I mean, their fans have suffered for so long. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, you would have thought. I mean, I didn't see anything that significant. That's the thing about looking at this NBA season, especially with regard to teams like the Pistons, where it's not like Lambeer and Mahorn came back with Rodman in their prime. I don't know. Did they make that many significant moves in the offseason that they could go ahead and execute this type of a dramatic turnaround? I don't know that they're championship
It's
material.
just they're just gelling right now. That's
Yeah.
what it is. They're coming together as a unit. Whatever they're doing, the coaching staff, they're putting good things together for them. And listen, they're doing their job right now. They're playing excellent basketball. Nobody can take that away from them. But again, I don't see them being a team that's going to go too far. But I love the improvement because that shows future. That if they could build off that, they could put a little powerhouse together maybe next year or the year after, and be competitive as far as being in the playoffs and making some runs.
All right. The other thing that struck me about the NBA, and I'm curious to get your feelings about this, because people have been sleeping on the Cleveland Cavaliers all year. They
Unbelievable.
not only have the best record in the NBA, or at least they did going into yesterday's play, but and OKC. I don't think either of them played yesterday. So OKC and Cleveland. So they're half game
Did
better
play
than
yesterday.
OKC.
They lost. last night. They played it back to back with Minnesota Sunday, Monday, and actually Minnesota beat them
Oh,
in
yeah, OKC
overtime.
lost, right.
Yeah, came.
So Cleveland's a full game ahead of OKC in the standings. OKC is plus 225, I think, to win the NBA championship. The co-favorite along with the Boston Celtics. You're getting 8.5 to 1 on the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the title. Why, in your opinion, Scotty M, are they being so just massively overlooked in that category? I know that these guys haven't done it in the postseason yet. You got Donovan Mitchell, of course, was hurt last year, so that really compromised any chance they had of going all the way. Otherwise, they might have found them. They were competitive against the Celtics even without Mitchell in the lineup. So
Well, the reason why they got the three-headed monster in Boston to get through Boston to get to the NBA Finals and win a championship. So that's not going to be so easy for them. That's why Boston's the favorite because listen, they got all the nucleuses to come back and repeat again. We all know that they're playing extremely well right now. You see it in the second half of the season, winning a couple of games, and I think they've won like 4 in a row now, playing really well, covering, winning by double digits. The Celtics are a juggernaut. I mean, from top to bottom. I don't know if Cleveland could beat them in a 7-game series if it came down to it. That's why Boston's such a favorite in the East over them. Even though Cleveland's got the best record at this point in time. But remember, regular season records and the playoffs, we've seen that in every sport. It doesn't really matter. It's when it comes down to it, when the physicality goes up, the intensity goes up in the playoff season. You got to be prepared for that. Regular season, listen, it's 82 games. We know what's going on. Playoff time is a whole different animal. Boston's tested. Cleveland, not so much tested. That's why the Boston Celtics are such the favorite in that East, even though Cleveland's got the better record at this point in time. Again, regular season really doesn't matter when it comes down to it.
you're getting almost 4 times the price, though. I mean, if you were looking for a value play, you would have to think. It's just incredible to me that they're being so badly discounted
Oh,
by
I
the
agree. I
public.
agree with you 1,000%. I mean, they're playing fantastic basketball. I've been in awe of them pretty much all year. The way they're continually playing steady, not losing. I don't think they lose back-to-back games very often, if any. I mean, this team has played as consistent as anybody in the whole entire league. Probably the most consistent out of any team in the league has been them, even over OKC. And just steady ball. They got some nice pieces to their puzzle. But at the end of the day, you got to go through Boston most likely to get to that championship, and that's not going to be easy.
No, I'm thinking that you're getting a little bit of value there, as you have been all season, because the last time I checked, and this may not be the case as of today, but the last time I checked, that they were also had the best record against the spread
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
Eastern Conference, which you would think they bookies would have caught up with the notion that they were a very good team, and they continue to blow people out. They have a massive number of double-digit victories, and I think the most of 30-plus points. So not only are you getting to cash a check at the end of a Cleveland game if you're on their side, but you're doing it without even having to break a sweat, Scotty M. You're at the window online at halftime, maybe
Well,
considering an early buyout.
it's like the horse racing adage. Right now, they're in the lead, turning for home. I mean, in the regular season, they're in the lead. You got to catch me if you can. They got the best record. They're playing steady basketball. Like I said, they don't make too many mistakes. Yeah, the value is absolutely there for them. I mean, it is worth taking a shot unless the wheels fall off in the last 20 games or so. I don't see it happening because they're playing so well as a unit. And as long as they don't get key injuries or anything key, I know Garland recently got hurt for them. He's in and out of the lineup. But, if they don't lose any big time pieces, they're going to be a tough out. There's no doubt about it because they can play. We see that. They can score points. They can keep up with anyone in the league. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to the experience of the Boston Celtics knowing how to get to the big dance when they need to, and it's going to be a tough sled for Cleveland. Especially even if it's in Cleveland, they'll have the edge 4 games. If it goes 7, I don't even know if it would go 7, but the value, no doubt about it. They're giving you a gift because if you're getting 8 to 1 on a team that's playing as well as this team through 58 games, I think they're 48-10 right now. I believe they won last night. 48-10. That's an unbelievable record. That's like over 80 some odd percent, and you get an 8-1. That's pretty damn good.
Seems almost impossible, like a Man of La Mancha dream come true type of proposition. All right, a couple of things. I know you're a numbers guy. I don't know if you have an opinion on this or not, but I was talking to one of my favorite people, shall remain unnamed for professional reasons, but because it might jeopardize his position. But this guy, I mean, I've known him as a stone degenerate his entire life. He follows all of this stuff. And he's looking at betting trends, college basketball. I know you're a numbers guy, like I said. He was telling me that when you have in college basketball home favorites that are in, and you might have mentioned this too at one time during the shows that we've done, home favorites that are somewhere between 5.5 and 7 points, that the odds makers are daring you, the books are daring you to go ahead and bet on the other team there, or rather on the home team. That they're giving you what seems like a really low number, but
Right.
that number is an extremely dangerous number to go ahead and concede. That for some reason a lot of upsets occur, and even straight up money line upsets occur. When what looks to be a superior team is favored by 5.5 to 7 points. Do you get involved in trends like that, or in that type of information in formulating your wagers?
Well, I don't call it per se a trend. I'm looking at each game individually, and if the number's in that number range and it hits my criterias, yeah, I'm looking at that game. I'm looking for to figure out which side is the way to go. So I don't really call that per se a trend. I'm looking at it as an individual situation, and
Okay.
yeah, of course. I mean, if you could zone in, listen, teams on the road favored by 1.5 to 3, where there's a home dog, depending on the matchup, depending on, how these teams play against each other in the past and things like that. There's always angles when it comes to numbers. The key is trying to dissect that number and see if that number makes sense when it comes to, making that wager. And that's what I'm looking into. I'm looking to find an angle that they made a mistake, I believe, and I could take advantage of it. So I'm looking for certain matchups, certain teams playing against certain teams, criterias, things like that. Doing my homework, my due diligence, whatever you want to call it. And even though I do all my work and everything else, doesn't mean I'm going to get the job done and get the win. But I feel going into that matchup, I have a slight edge. Whether it works or not, or they show up that night on the court, that's another story. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different variations that people look at. They'll look at certain teams like ranked teams against non-ranked teams. When the non-ranked team is a favorite against a ranked team in their building, they like that a lot. I mean, that could work. Sometimes it doesn't. I had a situation the other day. I jumped all over Clemson, ranked 20th in the country against SMU. The line flipped from Clemson, went from -1 to +1.5. But I love Clemson regardless. I thought they were the right side of the game the way they've been playing right now, and they beat them pretty handily. So that everyone has their ways. Bottom line is everyone has their ways of looking at games.
All right. Speaking of looking at games, let's make some money for the people out there. Scotty M been doing a great job for us and
I
college.
got a mixed bag of nuts here for us today. I got
All right.
NBA, I got a hockey play tonight,
Oh,
I got
nice.
college basketball, so I'm ready to go. I did my work early this morning.
All right. Well, shoot the puck. Let's get to the
The
selection.
puck, the
Scotty M.
pucks have been really good for us. I'll tell you,
Oh yeah.
I
All right.
knock on wood, the NHL. I mean, for me this year has been outstanding. I play a limited amount, but I like Tampa Bay tonight against Edmonton. There's some reasons on this game. Tampa Bay right now is in a fantastic zone. They're 5-0. There's Vasilevsky. When he's hot, he seems like he carries the team. They've won 5 straight. They're only a -115 at home against Edmonton, who's lost their last 3 straight. This goalie Skinner, yeah, when he's on, he's good, but he can be beat. I like Tampa Bay in this game. I think they're going to win their 6th straight. I think this goalie right now is locked in, and when he's locked in, they're a tough out. I like Tampa Bay -115. In the
Reminds me
NBA
of the
tonight,
old degenerate joke where a guy loses 20 straight bets on football, college, and pros, and the bookie says to him, "Hey, I feel badly for you taking your money every week. Why don't you consider betting on some NHL games?" And he says, "Well, what are you talking about? What do I know about hockey?"
yeah, exactly. What did he know about the other ones that he's
Right,
paying
right.
the bookie all that money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I could tell you stories that I'd have to do a show with you the whole day with customers and the way they think and the way they think we should be. And if you win 7 in a row and you lose one, what happened? What's wrong with you? The wheels fell off the bus. I mean, you're 7-1 and you're complaining. I mean, it's unbelievable, the stuff. I put up free picks. If I win 3 or 4 in a row and I lose one, I'm the worst. I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. That's why you got to have thick skin to do what I do for a living.
Sure.
Jump into the NBA tonight. You got a nice matchup. Milwaukee versus Houston. I like the dog in this game. I like Milwaukee. They've won 4 straight. Seems like they're making some moves. They're not playing outstanding, but they're playing good enough to get the job done. This Houston team, they were playing so well for a while. It's almost like the Detroit scenario. Houston was playing so well and winning games. And then they kind of ran into this slide recently over the last 15 games or so after they were playing so hot for a while. They're 3-7 in their last 10. I think this is a perfect spot for Milwaukee to go in there as a live dog. They're making the line 4 on Houston. I'd buy it up to 5, grab that extra difference, adjust it to 5. I take the Bucks, even though I think the Bucks got a shot to win the game. I wouldn't play it on the money line, though. I'd take the points. I wouldn't give 5 points up to grab a money line to try to get greedy. So I like Milwaukee in this game. I think they got a shot to match up. They've won 6 out of the last 10 straight up. And like I said, Houston right now to me is an up and down team. They find like they're blowing games, they're not getting the job done. So I like Milwaukee. And college basketball, I think this game should be a blowout tonight. I think they need this game to win big. I like Tennessee to blow out LSU. LSU right now is going backwards. They're 2-8 in their last 10. I mean, they play decent at home. They're 11-5 at home. But this Tennessee team, I think, is starting to move a little bit in the direction they need to start moving in. They're one of the top teams in the nation when they show up and they put 100% performance in. And I think that's going to be the type of game. They're making them 10 on the road. And that's a pretty big number to go into LSU on the road. That shows me that number makes sense to me, looking at the way I look at these games. So I bring that line down about 9.5. I jump on Tennessee. I think they blow out LSU by about 15-20 tonight. Those are my games.
Beautiful, man. You're all over the place. I love it, Scotty.
Mixed bag of nuts, Defo.
You're going to give us tennis, maybe winner of the.
I might have soccer next week if I got enough time.
All right. Let's find out where people can get involved, more of your information, take advantage of your services.
Yeah, no problem. Listen, it's all social media, guys. Free stuff all the time. Giving it away. You want to talk to me direct, you could DM me. If you're looking for more elite, limited games, our private service is limited. We put out maybe 1 play a day. Sometimes we don't even put out a play a day. But our free stuff's out every day. We do it early. We get it done. And you can find me on Instagram, SM Sports Picks, Picks. That's Instagram. You can shoot me a DM if you're a serious player. You want to get, you mentioned Defo, DM me Defo, DEFO, and I'll personally get back to you, and I'll see what I can do to help you make some money.
All right. Excellent stuff as always, Scotty M. It's always a pleasure. We thank you for getting up with us early in the morning, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
Thanks, Defo.
Always a pleasure. Scotty M, ladies and gentlemen. He's all over the map here today. He's got NHL. He's got NBA. He's got college basketball. And we're hoping that you guys have a lot of fun and make a lot of money with those selections. Tomorrow, Troy West out of Seattle, Washington joins us. Troy wins. On Thursday, Mike Jones makes his return to the program. He joined us on Monday. It was brilliant, as always. And the professor on college basketball coming up on Friday's edition of Bury Your Bookie for Scotty M and all the people connected with NoFilter.net, Greenlight Ventures, and, of course, Bet Online. I'm Jeff DeForrest. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.